Falco's ability according to the manual. So you know Peppy gives tips and simply shows the boss health meter, but what does Falco do? Well, according to the manual, he, quote, helps you discover secret paths, and I guess that's kind of true, but it's really obscure and debatable. We'll move more on this later. Engine colors. So have you ever noticed consciously that the Arwing's engine is usually red on the planned stages? However, when you're in space, the engine is blue. Yeah. Not only that, but if you change the variable and increase it by a number for the coding that determines the color for this, you can get a green engine, which is exclusive to enemies. And if you go up one more than that, then you'll get this oranges engine, which is completely unused, and it's theorized that maybe originally every teammate was meant to have a different colored engine that reflects them. Fox can't die from getting eaten by Andros. So if you end up getting swallowed by Andros, it's usually pretty devastating because it does a shit ton of damage and both of your wings are gone. However, if you have no health, then Fox won't take any damage while being chewed, and normally he just doesn't take damage during the spitting out portion of this, which means that when Andros is just ahead and has no hands left and all he can do is inhale, then you can't lose to him. You just literally can't. It's a weird detail, and no, this isn't the same in Adventures. Red lasers. So you know your laser changes as you get an upgrade. Well, Star Wolf has a laser exclusive to them that's red, and you can also give that to the Arwing through coding and modding. However, despite that also, there is a unused single red laser. Bill's past and future. So Bill is a kind of a weird character, and everything about him is just up to your own interpretation, I guess, because Kat we got a little bit more info on. You can get more clues and context to her as the way she interacts with Falco, and there's been other media and stuff that gives more to her character. Bill, however, hasn't appeared in jack shit. That's how of 64. I don't think he's appeared in anything. And the only thing that we know about him is that him and Fox once knew each other, and that's it, and we don't know what happened to him after, and it's just up to the imagination to know what Bill's deal is. Blue Marine's neglect and obscurity. The Blue Marine is only used in one stage in here. Even the Landmaster gets a couple, and the Landmaster's in multiplayer, along with On Foot, and the Landmaster appeared in other games. And the Landmaster was Fox's final smash for 2 Smash Bros. Games, and Falcos and Wolves too for some reason. And yeah, the Landmaster is pretty iconic, and even more weird stuff like the Arwing Walker, if you want to count that as its own thing, has been like in Star Fox 2, and then it was in Star Fox 0, and it just gets referenced a lot, and yeah, like, despite that though, the Blue Marine has been in one stage in this one game, and nothing else, and that's it. Like, it's just a totally neglected machine that everybody seems to forget about when, like, listing off, like, ways to play Star Fox and shit. This poor thing. It's cool. Star Wolf being injured and upgrade despite not encountering them before. Okay, so this is something interesting that I feel like maybe everybody has noticed but never really acknowledged out loud. But when you fight Star Wolf in Venom, you know how they look all fucked up, and they've got new ships too, and they acknowledge it. Falco's like, oh, I've seen you got new ships, and they're also like, let's see how you handle our new ships. Like, the game assumes as if you've already encountered them in Fortuna, and you as the player, yes, you probably have in a previous playthrough before. However, you don't have to play Fortuna to get to Venom 2. No, you just have to do one level in the hard route, and chances are is that if you're making that, you probably mostly stuck to the hard route. And so, in the canogliness of that timeline words, they never encountered Star Wolf before during this mission, yet when they see them there, they're like, oh, you guys are back, and they look all injured and messed up from the last fight, and oh, they got new ships, but what last instance are they talking about here? Like, yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Orbs are awesome black holes. The awesome black hole is a warp that appears in the first Star Fox game, and it works pretty much the same as the warp gates in 64. You see where I'm going with this already. This is just saying that since they basically are the same thing, they just are the same thing. Venom 1 and Macbeth End. This is really interesting. So, you know, in Venom 1, there's the segment right before Andros where you chase that weird giant golem thing down like the ancient temple hallway. And then the boss in Macbeth, it's also you just constantly going a straight line shooting at the train dude, and yeah, these have ends to them. In Venom 1, it does take quite a while for both, but not too ridiculously long, just long enough that you most likely do it on purpose. And in Venom 1, it's funny because they actually give you an extra life beforehand, like, oh, here you go, you fucked up, it's okay, you get a free try, or you were curious, here you go. Try again, and yeah, you eventually just hit a wall and you crash and die. And the Macbeth End, it doesn't have a wall, but once you go long enough, the boss will eventually crash into you instead and immediately kill you. Katina pilot dialogue. So this is an entry that may be a little bit dated, but in the files there's an unused portrait that looks like one of the generic pilots, and it was used for the pilots during the end segment where Fox and the rest of them are walking down the hallway and see General Pepper and, oh no sir, and yeah, this implies that originally they were going to have spoken dialogue and be more like actual people or characters. However, it appears recently assumes that this might have been intended as Bill, like a beta version of Bill that they end up reusing the final anyway, and I mean, I guess it's still technically the pilots then, but I don't know, it's interesting to think of either way, whether it's an early Bill, and it's still sensible to think that the pilots could have had dialogue. Starwolf on Katina. Another unused thing is that, no, this isn't a hidden route you can encounter like bulls, but there is a unused trigger for Star Fox to appear in this, I mean not Star Fox, Star Wolf to appear in this level, and man, knowing Katina, that would have been fucking hectic, but awesome as shit to see, and the reason why it appears to be unused is because if you try to load Star Wolf into any level they don't ordinarily appear in, the game will crash. Except for this one, implying that at some point it might have been intended. And that's it for the fourth layer. Next up is going to be really obscure stuff, and yeah, just super, like, specific things, and also interpretive things.